From Variety, celebrating more than 120 years covering the business of entertainment, this is the Award Circuit Podcast. Cynthia Erivo has some thoughts on how Wicked for Good ends, and who knows about Elphaba's fate.
I would put my money on it that Linda does not know that Elphaba is alive. I think she needs her to believe that she's not alive. Yeah.
I'm Michael Schneider, and on this episode of the Variety Award Circuit Podcast, we talk to Wicked for Good star Cynthia Erivo about hanging up the broomstick. Also on this episode, Song Sung Blue director Craig Brewer. And the Roundtable breaks down the big news that the Oscars are moving to YouTube and pays tribute to Rob Reiner. It's all next on this edition of the Variety Award Circuit Podcast. Stay close. Hey everybody, I would like to be the first to announce that the Award Circuit Podcast is moving to YouTube in 2030. Big new deal. You may have read about it. They're shocked that we're moving. It's gonna be huge. Now we can do an 8-hour podcast. I really can't wait. So we'll talk all about it.
By Mr. Beast?
Mr. Beast, who
Mr.
I
Beast
love.
is joining us. We're going to be hot one-ing it up. It's going to be great. I'm Michael Schneider. That is Janelle Riley, Jazz Takei, Clayton Davis. All right, so this is huge.
What happened?
The Oscars moving to YouTube in 2030. What even matters anymore? What is
2029?
2029, even sooner. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Can I just say, like, this was announced yesterday at the time of recording on Wednesday, and it was like, oh my God, like, this has already been a week. Like,
What?
you know, it was like, it's only Wednesday. The news just needs to take everything just needs to, like, stop for a second.
The last 24 hours have been crazy. And, like, even, like, my thoughts on it have gone all over the place. Because at first I was like, oh, I feel like it's losing some of its prestige, to like, no, you know what? This is the future. This makes sense.
It's good, yeah.
It was all Clayton Davis who convinced me, okay, maybe there's some positives to this. Because, I came into this like feeling pretty negative, but Clayton had some good arguments about why this may be a smart move in his column. We'll see. I mean, it's just literally day 2 of this announcement. So we still don't know a lot. And there's going to be 3 years before this actually happens. There's plenty of time for people to figure out what an Oscars on YouTube looks like. But it does send a signal that the world has changed and nothing will be the same. So
Die.
Well, I was going to say that I think the initial gut reaction is like, oh, and obviously we reported on Variety that we knew that it was between YouTube and NBC in the end. ABC was still saying that they were at the table, but based on our reporting, really didn't look like it was going to be ABC again, and people seem to be okay with that. Yeah. And then when it was YouTube and NBC at the end, then I think we were figuring like, oh, they're going to go with NBC because we didn't think that the board would want to go with YouTube, but that wasn't the case. The board approved that, and they said they should go with them. So obviously we don't know what the figure is. I think money was a factor, but also it is the Hail Mary of the future. We have PTSD from when the Indie Spirits went to YouTube, and we were like, it's over. And it's felt pretty bad since that time for Indie Spirits, but it wasn't a deal. They were just like, we're going to stream on YouTube. And just
and by the way,
IFC?
Yeah, I was going to say, Indie Spirits was on IFC, so it never was on a big platform to begin with. It was always sort of a minor player, so it didn't make that much of a big deal. The bigger deal was when SAG Awards went to Netflix, and honestly, it doesn't feel like it's made much of an impact on Netflix. But then again, it was on the Turner Network, so it was never a huge show anyway. This is big because Oscars is the biggest event of the year outside of sports. You know, it's the biggest entertainment event of the year, and the fact that it will no longer be on a broadcast network is monumental.
Yeah, and I think we're really dissecting it of what the possibilities could be. And listen, I am being a hopeless optimist right now because I do see how this can crater and go so bad and be terrible. But I also am seeing the possibilities. And honestly, in 2029, when this happens, they took the guardrails off. It's no holds bar. You have taken out all the things that we could ever use as an excuse of why the show is not great at any point in time. So at this point, if it's bad, it's on you, man. That means you just don't know how to do this.
Well,
Yeah.
but Clayton, that's not necessarily true. One of the big guardrails and one of the big questions that at least the Disney people would tell you is that, well, it was the Academy that was preventing this from being a great show because they had
Sure.
all these rules and regulations, and there were things they didn't want to do, they didn't want to include. They're really precious about the Oscars, and things that Disney could have done, they couldn't because the Academy didn't want it. Well, now that the Academy has complete control over the Oscars on YouTube, that may mean even less, taking risks or less like doing unconventional things because they're very narrow in what they want the Oscars to be.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks this is going to open the floodgates to like influencers presenting or something.
I was talking to a lot of Academy folk, just talking around. There doesn't right now. I mean, listen, this is time of recording 2025, right? So things change, but like we were like, is Mr. Beast about to introduce best stunts, at the 2029 ceremony? And it didn't seem like that was going to be a possibility. Will they be on the red carpet? That I think may be in our future.
It'll be the red hot ones carpet.
Yeah.
We're
Sean
already
Evans
seeing
is going to
that.
be hosting something on the red carpet. I would put that on paper now.
I mean, we're already seeing influencers on the red carpet, which we've all talked about. So I can't see that being thing. I mean, what's going to be interesting though is okay, it's going to be on YouTube, which means who knows what swearing is going to happen during the live event. But also, does this now mean that we can get a longer ceremony? Because the one thing
do we want that?
No.
That's the thing is more time for speeches. But realistically, do we want it to run any longer than it already does?
So I think when people read my headline, I was like, oh, the Oscars can have unlimited runtime. That doesn't mean advocates like myself have said, we don't care if the show is long. We want the show to be great. So if it's a 4-hour great show, then yes, be 4 hours. But if you can't get that together in 4 hours, then just cut out some fluff. You have an opportunity now to get a really good, edgy host. All the musical performances can be there. You can do real thoughtful reunions now, because I remember I always go back to the 75th anniversary when they had all former winners on stage, and that was just nerdy stuff that I loved, and I think people would be down for that. And then the speeches. Now, people are reading into this differently. They're like, oh my God, now speeches can be as long as they want. No, Adrian Brody shouldn't still speak for 5 minutes. We need to still keep that within reason, but we don't have to be so precious about can we do best sound? Let all the sound people talk and say thank you to their moms and stuff like that. We don't have to just designate a speaker for a category. We can hear from everybody.
They could bring back, remember when back in the 80s when they had the costume design showcase, which I thought was so fun. That'd be a good thing to bring back. Keep the speeches short, but jazz up the show a bit more.
Are you volunteering, Jazz?
Yeah, I like whenever Jazz actually uses the word jazz.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's Janelle show.
More importantly, they can celebrate cinema, and that's always what we wanted the Oscars to be, is celebrate movies. And if they celebrate the movies, then it will be a great show.
But is it still going to be the same people behind the show producing it? Because it might not be that different. That's what I keep trying to tell people, for good or bad. We were talking about how when the SAG Awards changed into the Actors Awards, maybe they were concentrating on the wrong thing. Moving over to YouTube, is it going to drastically change the show, or do you think it's going to be,
I mean, Mike, you probably would know this better than anyone. I mean, in theory, I guess, sure, can they call Molly and Hamish and call everyone up and be like, hey, come produce it on YouTube now with no holds bar? I guess, sure, but will they can they do that? Would ABC allow them to do that? I don't know, Mike.
Yeah, sure they could. I think the problem here, though, is that I think there was a healthy give and take between the Academy and Disney that probably allowed the show to be decent. And if you don't have that give and take, you suddenly just take the guardrails off, like you mentioned, Clayton. My fear is that they just kind of run wild and they do a long show that is fat and doesn't have you do need to trim these shows.
Yeah.
These need to be entertaining shows. I love the idea of celebrating film. I love the idea of more time for craftspeople, but let's be honest, the audience, they're not going to have patience for that. They're on YouTube. They're already like itchy to push a button and watch a cat falling off a TV screen instead. And you have to be careful on that because at least on broadcast, you're sort of like you're locked in. You're watching a TV show. It's a lot harder to change a channel. You're just there. You're watching YouTube. The second the show gets boring, or you're tired of waiting for the best picture, you're like, I could just like watch that clip later. You're not going to watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, yes, and I think that the way YouTube, I mean, obviously, we're going to get like instant views, right, and concurrent views, and what's happening at the moment when people are watching. We can actually see when it dips off. So this also, I mean, I know those features you can turn off on YouTube, but I think us as journalists would be like, why are you going to turn those features off? Because any number you give us, we're going to be like, we should be able to verify it because it's YouTube. So I think, yes, the worst sensibilities could come out, and they still need. I'm saying this to you, Academy, if you're listening. I know you are. You have to still hire TV producers to produce the show. Like Soderbergh gear is the example never to do again. Like, don't say like, oh, a film guy can. No, get a TV producer that can put together a great show. Think of innovative ideas, and you still keep tradition while still evolving with whatever's happening right now.
What's interesting about because the talking to the Disney folks, they assumed NBC had it. They were expecting an NBC pickup, an announcement, and they braced for it. They were fine with it because they knew that they just couldn't like compete this year. They weren't going to offer the $100 million that they used to. So, and the Academy didn't want to take a haircut, so they got that. What they were surprised about was that NBC at least was a streaming and broadcast play. And that's what you've seen with a lot of these deals now. The Grammys moving over to ABC, it's because Disney offers this big streaming plus broadcast play. So what I wonder is, there's 3 years for YouTube to figure out what they want to do. Is there a chance they may still actually sell a broadcast simulcast? Maybe that way they make a little bit more money, and it'll be still YouTube branded. It'll be the YouTube Oscars, but maybe they'll do a deal with Fox or a broadcast just to make some extra money, and that we may still end up watching a YouTube Oscars on a broadcast outlet.
Which honestly, YouTube has a bigger reach than broadcast, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, it's the global part of YouTube that really I think is the game changer. Because I mean, they always used to tout like we're a global organization and the Oscars are streaming in 200 countries, but like not everyone was watching. Now, literally every country in the world, including us, can watch the Oscars at the same time as it's happening. And there's 2 billion YouTube users. Like, listen, do I think they're gonna get 2 billion views? No. And I think no matter what happens, they're gonna be able to tout this as their largest Oscars ever based on views. I mean, do they contort themselves into some pretzels and start using Netflix-like language and be like, minutes viewed or whatever? Maybe, but I think by that nature, they can have more eyeballs on them. I think we can then parse it out about what areas of the world they're coming from. But I think they have the most reach possible out of all the choices that were presented.
Yeah, I mean they've already been global. I mean they've had like deals with networks across the globe for a long time. This has always been a global event. And they got license fees from all those international broadcasters as well, and advertising. So the question is, does the license fee that YouTube is paying make up for not only the Disney license fee, but the license fees they got from all the international broadcasters? I guess so. That's why they wanted to go this direction. But it is interesting now to have one broadcast partner, one telecast partner, as opposed to Disney plus another 60 or however many they had across the globe.
Especially, and as I said in the column, also, I think what was really like the deal like for YouTube is that in the metaphor I gave, they're adopting the entire family. They're not just taking the really good-looking daughter, right? The Oscars are the show, yes, but they're also the museum, so they're going to help them digitize their entire archive with Google. Like, we're going to get streamed Governors Awards, which people miss, and we used to love having Lifetime Achievement Awards part of the show. So now that will be there. The Sci-Tech Awards, which no one ever knows about. No artisans get their play now. And then the best thing I told Mike, and I think this is how I converted Mike, guys. I'm pretty sure this gets us away from 5 a.m. nomination announcement.
What?
Oh, wait, what?
There is no reason to do it now. You can do a primetime special. You don't worry about the morning show stuff. You stream it on YouTube, a primetime nomination special. You introduce the nominees to the world. I think this gets us away from 5 a.m.s. I really do.
If you know what you just told me, I'm in.
Right?
We're in.
That's where we win. I love that you still call it a primetime special, by the way. On YouTube, there is no primetime. They could do it at like 6:27 if they wanted to.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting, though, because, you know, in terms of like a concurrent audience all tuning in for YouTube, like, you know, it's going to be a huge number. And we know, like, you know, when you have like live events on, say, Netflix, and it's, remember when Stranger Things, everybody tuned in and it crashed. It's like, we know YouTube will be capable of handling a large, you know, millions of people simultaneously. So you won't have to deal with like, whoops, broadcast failed.
This piece will be out by the time you're listening to this. We're doing like a burning questions type of article. And the main one I think that's come up a lot for people are the ads and how they're going to incorporate commercials and stuff like that, or if they're even going to do that. And I'm sure we all watch YouTube here, and I don't know if any of us subscribe to premium, but ads popping up in the middle of your videos makes you kind of want to die. So,
but at least you can click the skip after a while.
Sometimes you have to wait like a minute or whatever. But can they actually orchestrate that everyone's going to get that ad break at the same time, or do they turn that off? There's some technology questions that I think go along with this, and ads pop it. People are like, "Oh, we're gonna have ads." I'm like, "You mean commercials?" Because we had those for the Oscars for 50 years. So I think if I got like a minute ad, but everyone's getting it at the same time, and it's actually a break in the show, I'm cool with that. And by the way, they also have something that I forgot to mention. They have, I think, full control on promotional and partnerships now. Also, they can get ad money from whoever. Disney had a very like concentrated, we only get these people. Now they can go wherever. Again, don't let your worst sensibilities kick in and just go to like, somewhere bad and get an ad. But I think that could be a good moneymaker for them.
It's going to be interesting.
They're going to have to do a traditional throw to commercials because they're going to need the breaks in the show too. You can't just do this show nonstop. I think
it's exhausting sitting there like without a break. The bar, and then not letting you back. Oh, that's the other thing. I don't think it's going to be at the Dolby anymore.
Where does it go?
If you're going to do a bigger,
there. What?
So educated guess, but based on conversations. Like the Dolby, they have a deal with the Dolby, but if you're going to do a bigger, better show, and everyone's been to the Dolby, there are constraints within the Dolby itself. So why can't you do it at the Palladium or Crypto? Why can't you? If you're going to reinvent the Oscars, let's effing reinvent it then.
Or do it at the Academy Museum itself.
Bad idea. Very bad idea, because first of all, they don't have the venue for it. You want to like, if you could do it at the stadium, I think that like I'm not saying you should do it at the stadium, but if you're really going to do it, like make it like really try to play with the venue. Dolby's great, and I'm not saying like I hate the Dolby, but the Dolby does have limitations on seating. The red carpet on Hollywood Boulevard is always hell on earth, so you have to really find the place for it. I think that could open some things up there.
There is a place called the YouTube Theater.
That's exactly it. Yes. Also, am I wrong? But was Hollywood and Highland kind of built for the Oscars?
Wait, you all are talking at the same time.
Go ahead, Janelle.
Oh, maybe I'm completely wrong, but wasn't Hollywood and Highland like built specifically to house the Oscars?
No.
It's a shopping mall.
That was part of it. No, Janelle is right. Part of it is the whole fact that it was the Kodak Theater. It was built specifically to house the Oscars. So I don't know.
And they have a deal with. And listen, do I think they walk away from it entirely? Probably. I mean, they still maybe they do. Their primetime nomination special could be there, and everyone can attend and make it a big event. But more so, the YouTube Theater, which one is that, by the way? Because remember, I'm new to LA. I don't know what this means.
New to LA, you've been here 4 years, man.
You're not new anymore. It's one of the many theaters at Inglewood now.
Okay.
But it's not nearly as big as the the Kodak in terms of like seating for an award show.
Up to
what is
6,000.
5,500?
We'll call it the Kodak. That shows you how old I am.
Is it 5,500 that it
It says
seats
up
there?
to 6,000 on the site.
6,000.
That's enough room for.
Is there nothing that's bigger here in LA? Aside from
There's a lot of big places. I mean, for years it was at the Shrine Auditorium, which, but SoFi would be a whole. What's that?
It was held at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion for years.
Oh yeah, back.
Yep.
And then it started at the Biltmore Hotel. Maybe we just go back to basics.
I mean, the Dolby is only 3,400 seats, right?
No, I think the Dolby is like 5,500, something like that. Those like I thought it was like a lot. Maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, nonetheless, I mean, listen, we have 3 years to kind of think. There are a lot of possibilities here. I see the landmines ahead. Like I see I acknowledge that this could go terribly, but I really think it was time to throw a Hail Mary. They're going to turn 100. If they want to be around for another 100 years, they got to make a move.
Their new tagline when they move to YouTube should be, "How do you do, fellow kids?"
Yes.
Someone said,
should show up with his skateboard.
So someone said they should open the episode like, "Hey guys."
Don't forget to slam that like and subscribe button.
Like and subscribe down below.
Mike, I do think that it'll be fun to have the comments section turned on, because you know how you sit at home and watch with your friends and make all those snarky comments. Now you'll be able to do that around the world.
Oh, this is gonna be hell.
That would scroll so fast though, because so many people you would have no time to actually read.
I bet you year one they turned it off. They don't let the comments roll.
Yeah,
I think they would. But we could obviously talk about the deal all day. But we have to talk about shortlist just real quick. Shortlist came out. Real quick.
Great shortlist.
Great
shortlist.
Quibi. Let's hear your Quibi on
it. So 12 categories. We got our first look at casting, because casting it's in its first year, and essentially to sum up, the top 6 Best Picture contenders, and then we have some international movies, and we have weapons. So Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, Sinners, Seurat, which was my favorite mention of the day, Weapons, and Wicked for Good.
The biggest shock for me is no Jay Kelly.
Well, I think what I was saying is that what was interesting, because I think Clinton and I think we've talked about this in the past, of like, are you going to get a year where, you've got a casting director like Francine Maisler or Nina Gold getting double or triple nominations, and this is the first year where nobody scored double nominations. Nope. And to your point, Janelle, of like Jay Kelly, Nina Gold, and Douglas Abel did Jay Kelly, but Nina Gold also did Hamnet. And that branch went for Hamnet and her work there.
And Jennifer Vendetti did Begonia.
Yep.
And Begonia didn't make it. Marty Supreme did. And Francine did every other movie known to man. But Springsteen, Ella McKay, I like that there's no double dips, thank God.
Yeah.
And initially, when I read the rules, you are allowed to double dip, but I wonder if they were just very conscious of that and were like, let's not. But I think this is a good short. I think it's very good for Weapons and the campaign for Amy Madigan, because I need Weapons in another category if we think Amy Madigan can do it.
Shortlist, do they, when they are voting, do they see the names, or do they just see the name of the movie?
They do for the final ballots now.
Yeah, but I don't think on this initial round they do they?
No, not on an initial.
I was surprised Weapons missed Makeup, but
I was and I wasn't, but but considering what they did, like we had the Ugly Stepsister in there, which is amazing, and I didn't think anyone even watched that movie, and it's a play off of Cinderella.
Yeah,
and that's in there along with Kakuho, which is Japan submission, and the Alto Nights.
Film.
Yeah. And the Alto Nights, which was staring us right in the face. We always have a nominee that everyone doesn't like the movie, but it didn't matter because it had some pretty good makeup.
Or they haven't seen the movie, like Waltzing with Brando. Was it last year?
Last year.
Yeah. I didn't even know it was out.
And then I just want to talk about cinematography real fast, because that was the first year we had a short list. It was between 10 and 20 on a sliding scale. They went with 16. Ballad of a Small Player, Begonia, Die My Love, Seamus McGarvey, Very good pick. F1, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, Nouveau Vague, which missed casting I was bummed about. One Battle After Another, Sentimental Values, Sinners, Surratt, Song Song Blue, Sound of Falling, Train Dreams, and Wicked for Good. Wicked for Good and Sinners tied for the most of the day. They got 8 mentions. They both double dipped in song.
It's good to see Wicked for Good getting a really strong showing in the shortlist.
Yep.
Which is like, okay, critics hate, critics want to find a movie villain every year. I think Wicked was that movie along with Hamnet. I think what's great about the cinematography list or shortlist is that there's 3 women shortlisted. And I say this all the time. No woman has ever won the cinematography Oscar. I think Autumn is still the front runner to win, and she would make history for Sinners. And she would make history. So I don't know how many go through to the final 5. I think Autumn definitely. I don't know what the rest of what the other 4 would be.
You know what's interesting? Amy Vincent, who was in there for Song Song Blue, which was a surprise, taught Autumn at AFI, I believe.
Really?
Interesting.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wasn't the first woman ever nominated? Wasn't it Rachel Morrison for
Rachel? Yeah.
Rachel Morrison.
Only 3 women have been nominated.
Right. Yeah. And she wasn't nominated for a Ryan Coogler movie. She was nominated for Mudbound, but she collaborated with Ryan Coogler on Black Panther. Yeah.
And it was a good showing for women artisans across the board. 10 out of the 15 international features are directed by women, and 7 of the 15 documentaries are directed by women as well. So it's like women can make movies if you just allow them to make movies and make good movies.
What movies do you think may have this might indicate it's just not going to happen? I saw a lot of people saying it's over for The Testament of Anne Lee.
Testament of Anne Lee took a beating.
Because it should have been an original song, right?
It should have been score, song, and maybe even cinematography, and it's just nowhere. I think Testament of Anne Lee. Do I think it's over? Like over? No, I think Amanda's still in the conversation. I think Surratt had the biggest boost of the day. 5 mentions. My predictions this week, I took Oliver Lachey, the director, as a lone director pick in the director category, which could happen. And I think no other choice got kind of beat up. It showed up in international feature, but it should have been in cinematography. There was kind of for that. So that's kind of a bummer there. But that's shortlist stuff, Mike. What TV shortlist did you watch this week of films?
I will say the one film I saw this weekend, which I really enjoyed, and I'm sad to not see it mentioned in more places, is Rental Family.
Rental Family. I really thought that might take off with audiences and break into the race, because it is so beloved by audiences and it's so charming. And I think Mari Yamamoto and Brendan Fraser are just so lovely in it.
Yeah, I thought it was a real dark horse to get into casting.
Yeah.
That little girl is incredible.
So good.
And Mari's great. And it's still, I mean, listen, there are always some feel good crowd pleasers. And I feel like Rental Family and Song Song Blue are kind of occupying a little bit of that same space. But yeah, it's good. It's a good movie. It does its job. It makes you cry.
It's a gem of a movie. Brought the kids. They loved it. It really wants you to go to Japan, of course.
Yes.
I honestly thought it would do better at the box office. I think it's only at 10 million right now.
This is actually good for it, I think.
I mean, it is. It's a little indie, but still, I thought it would really break out, and maybe there's still time. I of all people should not put so much stock in opening weekend.
Well, let's talk real quick. Obviously, this is our first episode since the tragic news of Rob Reiner, which we're all still kind of processing. It's been a rough week just learning about what happened and, thinking about just what an impact he had on film, on television, on just Hollywood, on California, the definition of mensch, just such a lovely, lovely human being and such a tragic story that we're all still processing. So we're thinking about him, thinking about his family, and thinking about all the people who loved him, who knew him. I know a number of you, Janelle, you had a chance to interview him a couple of times. And just I think we're all still adjusting to this news and thinking about just what an impact he had on film and will forever have on film.
He was the best, and I don't know if you guys felt like this too. This felt like Diane Keaton in the way of like, I didn't ever consider that you weren't going to be here one day. So when it was such a gut punch, and it's so like such an awful story, and it's just like it's so terrible. But like the outpouring of love, man, like there's certain things that kind of you don't see a lot of unity behind a lot of topics nowadays. But man, everyone has a good Rob Reiner story of just how he's the best.
Yeah.
So we'll be thinking about him and wishing all of you the best as we go into the Christmas week. And in the meantime, Clayton, who do we have today?
We have, speaking of Wicked for Good, Cynthia Erivo, and then we have the writer-director of Song Sung Blue, Craig Brewer.
All right.
Song Sung Blue, another one that I think is going to be a big charmer.
People are going crazy for it right now. Watch out.
Rental Family, Song Sung Blue, and Nuremberg. When people talk about, I don't know what this means, but like
Nuremberg especially.
Yeah.
There you go. Some films to watch as you take some time off, hopefully for the holidays. And in the meantime, we'll be around maybe next week. We'll see.
Enjoy those naps.
Exactly. Bye.
After the break, Wicked for Good star Cynthia Erivo. From Los Angeles, this is the Variety Award Circuit Podcast. And we're back. It's the Variety Award Circuit Podcast. I'm Michael Schneider. Wicked for Good is the conclusion to John M. Chu's ambitious two-part adaptation that has become more a box office phenomenon and cultural movement. Cynthia Erivo, who plays Elphaba, admits now that it was one of the hardest things she's ever had to shoot. The actress, who earned Oscar and Grammy nominations in the same year she became the magical Elphaba, speaks with the authority of someone who has lived inside the character's green skin for years, understanding her pain, power, and ultimate sacrifice. The film's most devastating moment, No Good Deed, required Erivo to perform while suspended diagonally in wires. The personal parallels between Erivo and her character run deep. When discussing how others perceive her versus reality, she draws from her own experiences, and the physical toll of bringing Elphaba to life cannot be overstated. Variety Chief Awards editor Clayton Davis sat down with Erivo to talk about the film, including whether Glinda knows Elphaba is alive and what Ariana Grande whispers in the final picnic scene. Clayton began by asking Erivo how she feels at the end of this two-movie Wicked run.
I feel really, relieved that we can finally share it all.
And talk about it
openly. Because, when we were back talking about the first movie, we could only really talk about it in parts. It was very hard to compartmentalize it because it feels like a really long journey that's been cut in two, but now we can talk about the entire thing, which is really, really refreshing. And I'm really proud of it. I think it's time. I think it's okay for us to now be at the end of this journey, to be able to share it in its entirety and also to give it to the watcher,
And you have other stuff to do now.
Yeah,
because, I think you're going to be going to the West End to go do Dracula.
Yes.
I'm going to find a way to get over there so I can watch.
Yes.
March, April?
We open in February and we go through to end of May.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you making sure that you are free Sunday, March 12th?
Clayton.
I just want to make sure that you're going to be somewhere. I just want to make sure that I see you. We have I don't know if you remember this, but on the red carpet last year at the Oscars, I do the pre-show with ABC.
Yeah.
And so when one of my co-producers caught a picture of me and you saying hello to each other, we grabbed each other's hands.
Yeah.
And you're blowing a kiss. It's like the perfect picture ever that I need to blow up and just share with the world. But I just need to make sure that you have a few Sundays open between now and then.
I don't know if I can get them all off completely.
Okay.
I am definitely going to be on stage most of that month. But we will see.
Yeah. Okay.
So if I need to take the days off, I will. I will. Yes.
Okay, I'll be your understudy. So let's talk about the conclusion.
Yes.
Elphaba is free.
Yes.
I asked John Chu this, and I wanted to ask you. We're getting to spoiler territory right away, so everyone, here's your alert.
Yes.
Okay. The stage version of Wicked has always just been like a debate amongst us all, Wicked heads, of whether or not Glinda knows that Elphaba is alive.
Yes.
And I felt as though, and this is just my read of it, I felt as though the movie took a definitive decision in that direction. Yes. And I wanted to know if you felt that way, whether or not she actually knows.
I don't think she knows.
You don't think she knows?
I don't think she knows at all. In fact, I would put my money on it that Glinda does not know that Elphaba is alive. I think that she needs her to believe that she's not alive.
Really?
Yeah.
Even with the book opening for her at the end?
Yeah. Oh. I think the book opening for her at the end is more a sign that she's worthy of the magic that book has, which is what Elphaba told her. You have to learn how to use it now. You have to be the good has to change things. It has to mean something, and you have to figure out how to work with this piece of magic. You haven't had magic until now. Now you have the opportunity to find a way to use it, to find a way to have it. Yeah. I'm
listening to Mom. What she said. We don't know. It was funny because my wife, I showed her Wicked, and she was watching it, and she was like, "So let me get this straight. So Glinda gets a book in the end, and then Elphaba gets Jonathan Bailey," and I was like, I mean. It's like, not every gifts are equal. But.
Well, the thing is, Elphaba doesn't need the book anymore, and Elphaba is already in position of her magic hasn't gone anywhere. Yeah. She's in possession of magic that is already, as we know, unlimited. It's a part of her, and so the book and her, I think, share a connection, and I love that moment towards the end where she just sort of takes a moment with the book before she gives it to Glinda, which for me always felt like a silent goodbye. It's that sort of most people would see this book as an inanimate object, but I don't think that is what it is to Elphaba. I think that book is living. It listens, it hears, it feels, and they have a connection to it. Yeah. And she has to say goodbye to this thing that lives, that feels, and has a connection to her to give it away. It's almost that moment where she gives the book to permission to choose. When she's ready, you work with her.
That's It's a beautiful moment. And one thing that made my wife cry twice, she is Your I Love You, which was, as we know, ad-libbed because it's a big no-no in Oz world.
Yes.
And we had to ask Senor Sondheim.
Yes.
Senor
Schwartz.
Schwartz at the time. All Stevens are great.
Yes.
Stephen Schwartz, if you were allowed to use that, John fought and we got it. And then, obviously, the end shot, which I was surprised at how emotional she got. She says she's a sucker for flashbacks.
Yeah.
And her whispering in your ear, for some reason, just got her.
Yeah.
I want to know about the whole, I guess, picnic day. I guess that's where we're just calling it. Did you guys film more of that? Is there like
so you'll see that whole montage where you see us walking through the park and where it's like twilight, and that was filmed over one day. We filmed a lot of stuff during that day, some of which is in both the movies and some of which we didn't use in the end. But that was all filmed over that one sort of day. We just went to Richmond Park. We went to, and we shot over the day. Just these friends.
Do you remember what Ari whispered to you in that particular take?
I do, but I'm never telling anyone. I'm never telling anyone.
Was it something movie related, or just like you knew you were doing pickup shots and she was just making up nonsense?
No, but it wasn't even a pickup shot. We shot that day. We went out there with the intent on that day with the intention of shooting scenes for the movie. We had no idea what we were using it for. He just was like, I want a full day of them just being friends, of them connecting with each other, and we knew we wanted that shot. I had no idea where we were going to use that shot. We had no idea. And And it is movie related, I suppose, what she said to me, but it's also us related as well. So yeah,
I was saying it was like it's John Chu's Lost in Translation moment.
You'll never know.
We just know it's perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. No Good Deed.
Yes. Clayton, I've never heard you make that sound before.
I like you make my chest hurt sometimes when you go. It really makes my chest hurt because like also one of my top 5 songs in the show, and I feel like No Good Deed doesn't get proper.
It doesn't.
Proper love.
Yeah.
But when the movie just explodes for me in that moment, and I wanted to talk to you about getting ready because there's so much layered in that. There's like some people always interpret it as the active decision to become the Wicked Witch, but it's not. It's so much more complicated. So talk about your interpretation and then getting ready for that scene.
The reason I love this song is actually I think it's her greatest moment of vulnerability. I think it's her surrender. I think it is the explosion of grief and pain and hurt. I think it is that proclamation at the end that she makes that all right enough, so be it. So be it then. Let all odds be agreed. I'm wicked through and through. And since I can't succeed, Fiero saving you, I promise no good deed will I attempt to do again, ever again. No good deed will I do ever again. It is her deciding at that moment that there's nothing left. I don't have anything else to give. Everything has gone. Everything has been taken. I can't. I've attempted over and over again to change things, to do good, and it's not working. And actually, what's actively happening is it's making things worse. So there is. I can't do. I don't have the. I don't have the will to do any more other than to. I'm going to let go. Yeah. I'll be the thing that you want me to be. Because I can't change your minds, and if I can't change your minds, I'll be the thing that you all think I am, and that's right. And I don't think she believes that of herself, but there's nothing that's
how she's
seen. Yeah, and I think it's finally I think it's the saddest moment because I think she finally accepts that that's how people see her, because before then I think she's been giving people the chance to see her differently.
And I think, would you agree that, especially the first half of the film, she's thinking, people don't accept me because I'm green.
Yeah.
But this was like, it's
nothing to do with being green. It's who they think I am. Yeah. It's who they think I am. And think green. It's out loud. It's nothing. It starts off with what she looks like, but what she looks like just exacerbates what they believe of her, because the way she looks gives people an excuse to think of her as something mean, evil, ugly, all of those things, because she doesn't fit in the norm. Yeah. She's very much outside of the norm, and anything that's outside of the norm, if it scares us, then it can't be good. And what she realizes that the thing that has scared them has allowed people to believe that she is nothing but wrong and evil, and to start realizing, which is what she ends up having to say to Glinda, you have to see it through their eyes, not your own. She finally sees through their eyes,
and then allows.
And then I think there's so much pain in it, and I had spoken to someone about this song, and they interpreted it as like the song of like power and resistance, and it's like her stepping into her power. And I was like, that's actually the complete opposite.
I mean, it's I would say the utter epitome of frustration.
Yes.
Like it's like it's devastation, but it's also frustration.
Yes.
And very weird way to compare it to, but like the way people feel in politics right now.
Yes.
Right? Like you just like, we're trying to do good here.
Yeah.
And we just keep getting put in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And it's that frustration. Like maybe this is just
the world. That's just it. And I feel so. I've doing it. I think I didn't even realize until I watched it back a couple of weeks ago how much pain I was feeling as her whilst we were doing it. But but when I saw, it's the first time I looked into my own eyes, and I thought, oh my God, there's such it's not anger, it's pain, it's hurt, and And I guess to prepare for it, I had been preparing for weeks for it because I had to get my body ready to do the stunts whilst doing it. The first half of that section is done at a diagonal with my feet in the air and my head coming towards the book. I'm on the wires when I fly in, and I stay in the air for that first section. So we had to sort of break up the preparation because I had to get my body ready to be in the wires like that whilst trying to get that amount of force out of my body, and the pain and the anger and the hurt and all of those, still being able to deliver the emotion, but still being able to hold the balance in my body, which is such a weird feeling. And we filmed that version, and then we filmed another version where I was on the ground, but the wires are on me. My feet are barely touching the ground, so I'm pulling against the wires, but there's wind blowing at me. Okay. So there's a section where you can just see my face, and it's like there's lots of things blowing at me. That's how it was filmed. Wires on me, so I'm pulling against a force, and then a wind coming at me. So there's two opposing forces happening with me in the middle, and that was kind of how it felt to shoot it. Loads of opposing forces happening, and trying to work through the frustration, the pain, and all of those things. But I also knew that I wanted it to exemplify how powerful she could be, because the one thing we know is that her power is connected to her emotion, and at that point all of the emotions are at the surface, so everything has to be heightened. It's the first time we see her move things and start a fire. She doesn't have to touch the book, and she can wave her hand and it shuts. It just is all coming to a head at that moment. It was the craziest couple of days I've ever had to shoot, and also really lonely. There was nobody there. It was just me I couldn't even see.
There's nobody else.
And usually when I would have, if there were animals in the scene, I would have a performing artist. There's an artist. There was no one. It was just me and the director.
Like a tree or anything for you?
Nothing.
What are we doing?
An empty room with the plinths and whatnot, so I knew where to move and land. And we had this. The set is built, but it's all, the blue screen was around us. Yeah. So really, it was just all imagination and feeling to do it.
I have to say this, probably my only favorite thing about this whole journey being over of Wicked is the constant peril I feel like you're in. Like seeing you fly during the wonderful night of Wicked. I have such projected anxiety. I'm usually not an anxious person.
Yeah.
But like seeing people like, and I know you were safe, obviously, but I'm just always like, can we please put her down? Like, can we please? And then you did it like a few times. You did it twice.
Yeah, I did twice.
I was like, if we could stop putting her in harnesses, that'd be like just the best thing. So I'm glad that now your body will be well rested and on the ground where it belongs. So that part is
for a time.
Until something.
Yes.
Because you are Dracula. So,
yes.
Yes. Dracula has to do stuff.
Yes.
In talking about the emotion and how she's perceived, I only imagine that you identify with that personally, because there's always a perception versus reality of celebrities versus how they are. And I've spent time with you, and I'm not saying I know you personally, but I spent time with you, and I'm always like, not that social media is anywhere to get an idea of anyone, but I see how people speak on the internet about the people that are in this movie, and I'm like, if only you guys knew.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen you guys interact with one another. And just be together. How did you identify with that piece of it yourself?
Closely, and I think because it's not new to me, and I think I've learned to sort of let that be what it is. I can't change people's minds. I think I came to that conclusion a long time ago.
You had your no good deed moment.
I've had my no good deed moments, and a couple, and I have learned that you cannot please everyone. Everyone is not going to understand who you are, and everyone won't get that. And some people will, and some people won't want to understand who you are, and that's okay. There's nothing I can do about that. I can't change every single person's mind in the world, in the universe. But my job is to keep one, growing as a human being, and being what I perceive to be a good person. That's all. That's literally all I can do. I can only keep putting good into the world, or hoping that the things I'm doing provide the world with some form of good. And if that is experienced by some people and they know that to be true, wonderful. And if there are others who still see that and can't, and see the worst in it, and can't see that I'm a person that wants to do good, that's also okay. I think it's more about them than it is about me. And I'm also willing to have a little bit of space for that too, because people are going through their things every day.
Tell them.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's truth.
You know.
In happy questions, favorite moment this whole entire run for you? And it doesn't even necessarily have to be the shoot. Even afterward. It's been a great 2 years.
Yeah. There's when we at the London premiere, I hadn't seen Karis Mosongle, who plays Little Elphaba, for a long time, and there she was in her little dress and her braids, and she just was so she's older, and like she's grown up a bit, and it's so alarming how quickly children grow. In a very short amount of time. When I met Karis, she was, I think, 8. Now she's 10, going on 11. But she still has this sort of bubbly excitement. And she jumped into my arms and we had the biggest hug ever. And she's like, I love her so much. She's such a sweetheart. She's so unbelievably talented. But I think it was one of my favorite moments, just because I just thought to myself, what a wonderful thing to be a part of in this way, and what a wonderful mirror, you know, as in she being the mirror for me, essentially, not even the other way around, because I can't imagine what a wonderful woman she's going to grow up into, just based on who she is as this young girl. She's just so sweet and lovely, but uber talented, and the way she takes care of Cecily, who plays little Nessa, that was a really beautiful moment. And I saw a TV, like a talk show, of this young girl. Forgive me because I forget her name, but she'd said that one of the things that was inspiring was that she had seen me with no hair. She is just coming. I think she was coming out of cancer. She's in remission, but she also had short hair, and she said that she'd seen me with no hair, and she thought, if Cynthia can do it, then I can do it. Then I'm fine. And those are the moments that really have like shifted things for me. That there are, you know, young girls, young boys, people my age who are sort of meeting themselves again and finding ways to work through things because of this piece, because of this character. That for me is really special. And of course, I could talk about moments on the set and moments between Ari and I, moments between Johnny and I that are emblazoned on my brain, but that we would be here till tomorrow. But the fact, like, I mean, even yesterday she and I sat and just were just like, I'm really proud of each other. We have worked really, really hard, and I think people don't necessarily see how hard this kind of work is. I think we see a musical and we think it must be fun and it's light and it's easy and we run and look how funny they are and look how, you know, how much fun they're having with each other, and look, they're just singing songs and it must be, you know, but no one really knows how much hard work goes into it, how many hours we're spending a day working through these numbers, how tired your body gets, because you're not just using the words that come out of your mouth. You're using your vocal cords ad nauseum. You're using your body. You're throwing your body around the place. If you're dancing and doing choreography, you're not just doing it once. You're doing it over and over and over again for hours and hours. If you're in a harness, you're in a harness for 14 hours of the day, whilst doing the work that you have to do and still trying to deliver something emotionally. So for us, we're just really proud that we have gotten to this point and have something really beautiful to show for it, where people don't feel the work, where people are able to relax and watch these two women be and experience hurt, pain, all of the human things, and that you don't see how difficult it is to do all these things, because that we wouldn't want you to, you know.
And I think especially for it's so weird because like obviously you and Ari are known as great singers. So when you're known for great singing, you step into musicals like, oh, you just do what you do all the time. It's easy, right? You should be able to sing. And that usually people that see that, I always run and like, have you seen Cynthia ever sing like I'm Here? Like
right, yeah.
And like, you know, yes, like if you can vocally do it, doesn't make it easy to do.
Right.
That's why I think I can sing, and it's like.
But that's the job, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, that we do these songs, and because we have put the work in, we've done the training, we've worked our hardest, we've had the experience. We can come and we can do a song that is very difficult, and make you, the listener, you, the watcher, feel like you can sing it too.
Yeah.
Right? That's the work. That's what you're supposed to do. We want you to feel so comfortable with this that you want to sing along.
You shouldn't feel how hard it is.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's
your
right.
Job as an actor,
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And sometimes people just overlook that. And
Yeah.
they're like, you know, you can sing, so this is easy for you. But no,
it's still very hard. Yeah.
That's why I am a remarkable singer. Looking at a bit of the future for you, and you stayed very, very busy even in between Wicked.
Yes.
Can we talk about the Tonys?
Yes, we can.
I didn't know I wanted Cynthia Erivo hosting the Tonys. I really didn't know I wanted it, because I'm like, you need to go as a nominee, like
right.
you go win Tonys. Like, you're not gonna go host the Tonys. But I mean, the Jonathan Groff, the comment by itself was just like chef's kiss.
Thank you.
How was it as nerve-wracking for you to do that as it is to do most things you do in your life?
Strangely enough, the nerves were there for the first 5 minutes, and then they dissipated, mainly because I was so well prepared for that evening. I had been preparing for that evening for a long time. I knew I wanted to do it maybe a couple of years ago, and it wasn't the right time. And then it came along, and I said yes, and I knew who I wanted to write with. I knew who I wanted to do the music with. I knew who I wanted to do the choreography. And I put those stipulations in immediately. I knew exactly how I wanted the show to run. This is the way I'm going to do it. I knew what kind of show I wanted to put forward. I knew that what I wanted to be, you know, in Pippin, when you have the ringleader. Yeah. Okay. So I wanted to be the person that was literally moving everyone through the evening. I didn't want you to forget that it was there. I wanted you to always know that there's a Mama Bear still here. Yeah. So I asked them to go through all the voiceovers as well. I was like, you don't need 15 people to do different voiceovers. Just put my voice in the voiceover as many times as you can. If I'm not on stage, you'll hear me in a voiceover. So that you're always reminded that I'm not coming on stage and disappearing for 20 odd minutes and you're never there.
By adjacency.
By adjacency. Yeah. I'm there actually hosting this for you. I knew I wanted a beginning, a middle, an end.
You're in my house.
Correct. That's right. Yeah. Welcome into my house. Yeah. Please make yourself comfortable and relax. I've got this. You just have to have a good time. Yeah. That was it. I told them I had asked for a beginning, a middle, and end. I said we need the through line. We have to end the show. You need a closing number. We haven't done a closing number for a really, really long time. And I was like, we keep ending on someone wandering off stage and actually it doesn't end. And it's a weak ending. Yeah. And then the credits roll. But you want people to leave going, and that was a show.
Yes.
So I knew we wanted, I said, give me a ballad. Give me a song to sing. I'm not the comedian like everybody else, but I can sing you a song and I can make the jokes through the song. And I want people to have to go back to listen to the music, the song, to hear the jokes that we're making if they don't get it the first time. But I definitely want them to feel like we are opening the show. So give us a big number. Give me a big choir.
Is there a song that you wanted to do that you didn't get to do?
No. I got everything I wanted. The song that we had is the song that we wrote.
Oh, okay.
So Justin and Benj, they wrote that song for me, and Mark Shaman. That song was the song I wanted. we had worked it through. There were different versions of it, and we finally honed it to be like, this is the version. We worked through different keys, and I was like, it needs to feel, yes, that it's astronomical and you get to the high notes, but you still want people to feel like, oh my gosh, like this is cool. Yeah. So we did that, and then I knew that I felt like the breath in the middle of the show was the in memoriam, and I knew that I wanted us to really take that moment properly, because we had lost a few very important people that I wanted to celebrate, and I knew that what I wanted it to be a duet. I knew I didn't want to do it on my own, and we had to find someone who could really do that together, and that's when Sarah Bareilles kindly stepped in to do that with us. And then I knew I wanted to close the show, but with a song. So I was like, the only way we can do this is if it's a song that people know and recognize, but we have to put our spin on it. And the thing we need to do is work through this show, tell people what the result of the show was. And we were doing it in real time, essentially. As the show was happening, we were like, okay, we tick that off. Okay, this is right. We change this in. We move this around. We didn't think that result was going to happen, so we'll move that in. That was happening in real time. And then all the jokes slotted in. We worked through with a fine-tooth comb. Alex Edelman was a genius. He and Dave Boone, they both really, I knew the jokes that we wanted to make. I'd seen every show bar one, I think. I was properly a student. I took 2-3 weeks to see everything, so that we knew what jokes we could make. I knew, and what's lovely is that I know a lot of the people who were on stage, so we could make it a really a personal thing. So I could make that joke about Jonathan Groff,
and
because
everyone got it.
Exactly,
it was hilarious. It was
That's great. It, and we could make the joke about George Clooney, and I could be the character, and I knew that we wanted to do all of that, and it was just I knew the Hamilton folks, because the year that I won my Tony, they all won their Tonys, so that felt really close. And so whenever you would hear my voiceover, my friend, because they're all my friends, and there was one other element that I knew I wanted to put in, fashion.
Oh yes,
that was sort of like the comma for every new moment, a new piece of clothing, a new and everything was very thought out. The pieces that we wore corresponded to what we were doing. The red dress at the beginning was a nod to Annie, a nod to Funny Girl. The dress at the very end, a nod to the color purple and Paul Taswell, because he was the one that designed it. There's a piece that I did just to do an introduction, which felt very much like Death Becomes Her. So we were making sure that all of these things knitted together, so we created a full show. I was a geek about it, truly.
It was amazing. By the way, Paul also getting to win that night.
Just the best.
First man,
yes.
I think?
Yes.
First man, not even black man. First man to win an Oscar and a Tony this year. Like, unreal. You got to be there for both his awards.
I know.
Look at that. So now you got to just
He's
do stuff with him all the time.
Oh, no, he knows that already.
Not allowed.
He's not allowed to do anything without me.
With her. You don't get to win awards.
What's happening?
So let's do it.
That's Cynthia Erivo, star of Wicked for Good, now in theaters. Director Craig Brewer's latest film is Song Sung Blue, starring Hugh Jackman and Kate Hudson as a struggling couple who form a Neil Diamond tribute act. Opening on Christmas Day from Focus Features, the film represents something of a homecoming for Brewer, who cut his teeth making independent films in his native Memphis before the late John Singleton discovered him and brought him to Hollywood. Variety's Clayton Davis spoke to Brewer about making his latest film, how he's preparing to direct a Snoop Dogg biopic next, the way he carries forward Singleton's legacy of finding and nurturing talent from unexpected places, and reminding Hollywood that great stories exist far beyond the industry's bubble. Clayton began by asking Brewer about finding grace and getting older.
Oh, very much so. Yeah. I've really enjoyed being in my 50s.
Yeah.
I'm 53, and I think that what it's done for me, and maybe it's also just being a parent and having kids that are now my youngest is 17, and I've learned that there is a lot of grace to letting go, and I did something a little different with directing on this last movie that rewarded me by letting go a little bit more. And I'll give you an example. Like even just being in the car heading to the governor's award, I don't know how you are, but like I'll get dressed up and all I do is feel like an imposter. I think to myself,
every day.
like, well, I'm not going to be like talking to anybody at this place, and I'm not like a big famous director or like even anybody that like people would really know. So like, what am I going to do? And there's something that just happened when I pulled up. I was like, I'll tell you what you're going to do. You're going to get an old fashioned, and you're going to enjoy yourself. And suddenly, you know, I began bumping into old friends that felt the same way that I did too. And I think that's really kind of the maturity that I've reached, where it's like you should be so grateful that you get to make these movies and work with incredible people and not feel like there's got to be some sort of expectation other than the joy in the moment. And I know that sounds like every self-help podcast you've ever heard or something kids are sending to each other on TikTok, but it really does kind of help. I wish I could kind of go back in time and talk to myself about 15, 20 years ago and try to explain it to him. I just know that he wouldn't listen to me.
Well, you know, I've been saying this a lot lately, and so I forgot, many people have told me this, but I forgot where I heard it first. They said I turned 40 last year, and everyone was like, when you turn 40, the less fucks you give as you get older, and less of them get thrown, and more get thrown out the window.
I know who said that.
Taraji
P. Henson. I was watching her say that. And I was like, yeah. Taraji says when you get into your 40s and when you get to the 50s, like you really do only have a certain amount of fucks. Yeah. And then you're out of them.
and then you're out, and then you're just like, and you operate like, even now I feel so like certain things that would bother me before, I'm like, no, I don't care. Like, no, I'm not going to worry about that. So imposter syndrome is real, and I would love to talk to you about that, because it's something like that has nothing to do with fucks. Actually, it just has to do with like where we come from. And I think, you know, we dream about having careers in this industry, and then when it happens, we're like, wait, did it actually happen? And you yourself, you know, you've worked with some big, great talents. Samuel L. Jackson, obviously Terrence Howard got nominated for an Oscar for Hustle and Flow, won Best Original Song, which is one of my favorite things that's ever happened.
For my Memphis people.
Yeah.
3 6 Mafia, Academy Award winning 3 6 Mafia.
And then you did what I had Kate Hudson on this very show a few weeks ago. It's actually coming out this week at time of recording. And I was like, you reminded the world that she is a fabulous actress, because she does the best thing she's ever done, like in film. And people usually will stop me and they'll say, wait, even more than Almost Famous? Because it's like the default answer. I'm like, yes, even more so than that.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I definitely would agree with that, because, I mean, of course I loved her in Almost Famous, but it's a discovery love. It's like, oh, who's this?
Yeah.
And it hits different when you're older and you look at an actor or actress and you go, oh yeah, well, I mean, we've known them for a long time, and we've decided what they are.
Yeah,
we've decided what part of the whole entertainment pie where their slice is, and that's about all that we're going to give them or grant them. And I have always felt like, you know, when I've been in meetings and people are bringing up really great actresses, Kate Winslet's and so many different people, and I always go like, but Kate Hudson's right here. Why aren't we talking about Kate? And I think that what it is that to some extent, I think Kate has been in, this may be an extreme word, but like a prison to some extent of her own gifts, which is like she's just so winning in that delightful entertainment of like, the movies that she really was kind of like known for, which is like, How to Lose a Guy and 10 Days. Like those, I would call them rom-coms, I guess. Would be the way to, delineate or define what she's been doing. But I just always felt that she was greatly underused in terms of her talent. And as soon as Hugh and I started talking about her, I was like, I don't really even need to think about this. If we can say that this is who we want, then and if Kate wants to do it, this is what we're going to do.
What's interesting about that, it's like after Almost Famous, I think she said it best. She said, Hollywood loves to box you in and tell you what you can and cannot do. And in the in-between Song Sung Blue and this, I I saw the movie 9. She's amazing in 9. I love her in Glass Onion.
Oh, she steals it.
You know, she has. It's not like this is like, oh, the second great performance she's had. She's had many, and but I wanted to ask before we get too much into Kate and that troublemaker Hugh Jackman that you gave a job to for some reason. Right. The imposter syndrome. I want to go back to that for a minute because, like, you know, your first film, John Singleton saw it and then became your mentor. Talk about like how that school of learning and how that kind of shaped you and made you get into, you know, the space that you are now.
Only in the last couple of weeks have I really been thinking about how grateful I feel about coming into my own at that time. I think that the 90s were infinitely more special than I think that I felt when I was in them. Now looking back on them, especially with independent cinema, because I mean we tend to forget that, you know, it was the 90s where, you know, Darren Aronofsky and, you know, Christopher Nolan, you know, with Following, and you know, Joe Carnahan and Kevin Smith. I mean, like all these people started making movies by any way they could, like hook or crook. And you know, I there's so many times that I'll be talking to young filmmakers and I'll just be like, you know, I saw your basement. Why aren't you making something like Pi? And I don't even think they know what I'm talking about. You know, and to be inspired by filmmakers in that time period where they were celebrating. You know, I worked, like I said, I worked at Barnes & Noble, and I remember getting the book Rebel Without a Crew that Robert Rodriguez wrote about him making El Mariachi, and just feeling this incredible surge of inspiration that I could do this, and that's what I did. And to make a movie in your hometown with people that you love and respect, and do it right around when the time where like digital video started happening and it became much more affordable. I know there's many conversations we could have about AI, but like one of the things that I'm just hoping happens is that something feeds what I felt when I kind of like realized I didn't have to film on film and really go into tremendous debt. I could just pick up a digital video camera and try to make something good. But it was this real special time where then to have made something and then have like this hero of mine who was kind of the ultimate independent filmmaker, even though like he made Boys at a studio, it still felt independent.
It's gritty.
It felt, it felt like it was truly subversive to the Hollywood that was happening right now, especially in black cinema. But to have John and Stephanie Elaine really take me under their wing, and I mean even have like little moments with me before we would walk into a room at a studio and say, all right, here's the things that we want you to say, here's the things we don't want you to say, and then watch how the room responded to kind of like the give and take between two seasoned pros. And me, who was, you know, fresh into it all, was really special. And I don't know why, but I've just been thinking about John in this last week, and just really, I mourned him once, but I've been mourning him more now, because I really, you know, kind of like when my dad died of a heart attack suddenly at 49, like I look at John and I think to myself, I can't believe like my second mentor like was taken away early, because even just being there last night and seeing like Spielberg, and, you know, I got to meet Barry Levinson the other day, and I was just like, oh, God damn it. John would have been such a great like 60-year-old, 70-year-old filmmaker. You know, I mean, what would he have made?
You know what? You're bringing up a point that I bring up often, and where we are. Like, I write a lot about diversity in Hollywood, but I often tell everyone we're writing about two different things, or we're all talking about different things, because that means different things to different people. And there is a nuanced conversation to have about it all. But I often think about like I call it the mid-level like tier bench, right? Like Steven Spielberg and Martin Scorsese, masters of their craft. You know, when they go, hopefully 50 years from now, but when they go, there are 400 guys that are going to occupy that space. And I've said this before. You can listen to the last episodes. My readers and listeners have obviously heard me say this. When we lose someone like John Singleton, I always use this as an example. When we lost John, we didn't realize how much of the black director space he had occupied for us. So when we lose a John Singleton, there's a gaping hole there. Mm-hmm. And our OG is like Spike Lee, and he's like 68. He's like, not even by traditional old standards that we say old in Hollywood, but like, we need to do a better job of filling that bench. And John was that bench, but also I think it's really interesting. This brings you into it. He wasn't just this part of the diversity conversation. He wasn't just mentoring the young black filmmakers that were out there. He did that, but he saw something in Craig Brewer and then brought you in for the ride. And we got great films out of you too. And that was the ultimate thing. It wasn't tied to just race and ethnicity. It was about where you come from, what kind of stories you want to tell. So I wanted to give you the opportunity to talk about that piece of it.
I'm glad you bring that up, because I do think that as much as I've, over the 20 years, I've watched the whole spectrum of what the question of diversity is. I remember being here early in my career and people very clearly telling me that there was a number if I was going to do a movie with predominantly African American characters. Mm-hmm. This is the budget size that the marketplace will bear. And then Barbershop came out. And then they were like, well, okay, here's the thing. If it can be more like Barbershop, then here's the number. And then like Tyler happened, and then then they had a new number, and they're like, okay.
Yeah. And then Black Panther happened, and then they were still evolving the number.
But I think that kind of like what it gets to is that, because I've also seen, I worked on Empire for 2 years, and that was like a kind of the golden standard of diversity in terms of trying to, have African American directors, a lot of women that were brought in as well. But I have also seen where it's really not working, and what I mean by that is that it is really a safety box for a lot of, I'll say it, like scared white people.
Yeah.
That just want to make sure that their ass is somehow covered, and then they're not doing what I think they need to be doing, which is what John did. John wasn't necessarily always thinking about race, even though I remember on Hustle and Flow, it was kind of like, it was almost like Goodfellas, him and his great producer Dwight Williams, who made a lot of his movies, produced a lot of his movies, brought me into an office, and they were like, we're giving you an opportunity. You understand us? Mm-hmm. We're giving you a big opportunity. So we're going to tell you something. We don't care how it sounds. We hire black people on our crews. Mm-hmm. And we want you to hire more black people on crews as you move forward. And it's just become like, then that was like back in the day where it wasn't considered like a thing. John was really kind of a pioneer in that, and if you meet with a lot of his crew that has worked with him, and now these same people are my family, but what John understood was that there's voices, and I think that when studios and networks start talking about like or people are complaining about diversity, what they're not understanding is that there's plenty of voices out there that need to be heard. And it's not just as easy as, well, if there's a Marvel movie, then we need to have diversity as the director, which, yes, we do. But, mm-hmm. but if you look at, Ryan deserves to be there beyond his race.
Yeah.
Ryan's mind is amazing.
Yeah.
To walk into a studio and say, Creed, let me tell you what this is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and Ryan's been doing that for years. It's coming from a place of...
After 6 Rockies, by the way.
Right. We're like an entire industry, like, basically, and I love all the Rocky movies, but they just tried to beat that to death.
Yeah.
And it took a mind like Ryan Coogler to come in and say, like, you all are like, you're missing...
You're doing it wrong.
You're missing some amazing moments here, and it took a guy from Oakland to tell you about it. And he brought his essence to that, and I just wish that's really what people started to celebrate more, but that requires more risk than what I would just call a blanket statement of diversity. That's going to artists or going to writers and directors and them bringing their their point of view, which comes from their life experience, into the marketplace and saying like, yeah, give this a shot. And then one day you might get sinners, you know, and then one day you might get materialists. Then when, you know, you get these things that will earn, but they're coming from a place of earnest place. Yep. And I think that's really what John kind of saw with me, is that he saw my movies that were being made in Memphis. He saw the rap artists and everything that I felt should be important, and it was not during a time where people were really giving a lot of love to the South. Mm-hmm. Now it seems like it's the standard, really, of like of the musical bedrock of not just rap and hip hop. But I really do think that that's really where the future of diversity should be, which is like, you know, support individual voices. Don't just, you know, plug and play. Like, listen to their ideas and perhaps put some money behind that.
Yep. You're bringing up this is 2020 done wrong. You know, George Floyd happened. Everyone put up these nice little press releases that were like, oh, we're going to do better. And then it wasn't cool anymore for a press release. And then, you know, everyone started walking back. And you brought up a great point. Like, the diversity is so much more than race. I always point to people. I'm like, Nomadland is one of the most diverse movies. Right. That is the white man America MAGA story, pretty much, right, told through the lens of Chloe Zhao, exactly, who just so happens to be Asian. Like, I'm like, diversity is top to bottom. It's a bunch of different things. So, and Song Sung Blue is diverse for not the reasons that people will think it is, or probably can't see what I'm talking about when I'm talking about diversity.
I'm very interested to talk to you about
that.
Because I am so surprised at what I've discovered with Song Sung Blue, really, which is something that's even it's weird to be here in 2025 and going like, oh, I think I found a new little hurdle that I have to go over. And it does have to do with class, mm-hmm, and it has to do with middle America, mm-hmm, and it has to do with you know, just good old fashioned have and have nots, but also the expectation and definition of what is success. And I've been surprised how much the conversation has talked about, well, what is red state? Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, like, I live in a red state. Yeah. I mean, I'm in a big blue Memphis dot, but, you know, but still, like, I have had to have many meetings and say, like, with my glorious studio focus features, who's been so supportive. But, you know, the thing that I keep on saying is that, like, please, you have to go to the middle America on this, and let's not just assume that's white people. Because let me tell you, like, there's a certain theme in this movie that I feel very much like this is the kind of movie that, like, John would have loved, because mm-hmm, he feels it, and I mean, just people around the world from, like, Latino countries to say, like, this movie feels like it was made for my culture. And I think what they're getting at is that we've maybe gotten away from seeing some of these movies about people who are struggling to pay rent, who don't have health insurance, they're blended families, their friends are diverse, but we don't make a thing of it. It's because we're living in a community that's mm-hmm, diverse, and everybody's kind of below a certain economic line. And, you know, why wouldn't I be working at this Thai restaurant doing karaoke night? And why wouldn't, you know, this guy that I'm doing, you know, shows with, Sex Machine, who's African American, like, is helping me get a job? And, like, it's really kind of like something that I see where I live, but I don't necessarily, over my 20 years, have I necessarily seen it talked about in a way in the Hollywood bubble that is indicative of what I'm seeing in the middle of America.
That's Craig Brewer, director of Song Sung Blue, which opens on Christmas Day. And that's it for this edition of Variety's Award Circuit Podcast. Michael Schneider is the producer. Be sure to subscribe to the Award Circuit Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you download podcasts. Also, head on over to Variety.com and click on the Award Circuit tab to find the latest awards predictions and key races, as well as your daily fix of news, analysis, and reviews. For Jazz Tanke, Janelle Riley, and Clayton Davis, I'm Michael Schneider, and we'll see you on the circuit.